Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to AITA Chronicles, where Reddit drama gets real. Picture this. You wake up one morning and your husband's entire family, four grown adults, has moved into your home without even asking. You're still trying to process that when you uncover a lie so bold it flips the whole situation on its head. This one's got family drama, boundaries being bulldozed, and a twist you will not see coming. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're almost at 10K, and every click helps us get there. Let's get into it. Am I the asshole for blowing up at my husband after his entire family moved into our house without asking me? Throwaway account for obvious reasons. Names have been changed, so I, 33 female, have been married to Tim, 34 male, for 5 years. He's always been extremely family oriented, which is usually sweet. Keyword being usually. Tim's mother, Laura, in her 60s, his younger sister, Emma, 21, Emma's boyfriend, Chris, 21, and Laura's husband, Jack, also in his 60s, all lived together in Laura's home until a supposed gas leak turned their house into a carbon monoxide hazard. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but the house apparently needed serious repairs. We were told they'd be displaced for a while. Here's where things took a turn. Tim decided all on his own to invite them to stay in our home. He didn't ask me. He didn't even discuss it. He just informed me they were coming less than 24 hours before they showed up with luggage and coolers like they were prepping for a summer camp. This wasn't a can we host them for a few nights type of situation. This was they'll be here until the house is fixed, which I found out later could take months. I was livid. And before anyone labels me heartless, please understand I'm the youngest of four. I grew up in a big family. I understand family bonds. I'd do anything for my own, but I also believe in boundaries. And this was a complete violation of mine, especially since I wasn't even consulted in my own home. To give a little more context, Emma is the miracle baby. Laura had her much later in life and dotes on her like she's royalty. Emma's the golden child. Tim, who's the second oldest, spent most of his life trying to win over their mom, especially after Laura divorced his dad when Tim was 10. His dad and stepmom? Absolute gems. Respectful, kind, and they never overstep. But Laura and Jack? Total opposite. Emma and Chris are both full-time students with no jobs. Chris has taken over our media room, glued to first-person shooter games, and constantly vaping his stress away. Emma, she's turned our guest room into a full-blown content studio for her lifestyle influencer dreams. Despite having less than 500 followers and a disturbing obsession with ring lights. Jack parks himself in our sunroom, reading books and ignoring everything. And Laura? Oh, she's been organizing my spice rack, criticizing my outfits, and calling my dog her dog. I finally lost it today, after 2 full weeks of this chaos, when Laura had the audacity to tell me that I should put more effort into my appearance, because I work from home and have no excuse. I run a consulting firm from my home office. She thinks I play on spreadsheets. So I sat Tim down and told him we needed to talk. And he had the nerve to say, "Babe, don't start. They're family. They needed us." I snapped. I told him that they were his family and not his responsibility, that he crossed a massive line inviting four adults into our home without a single conversation. I told him I felt bulldozed, disrespected, and like an afterthought in my own marriage. I said I've been a damn good wife, an even better host, and a far more patient daughter-in-law than his family deserves, but I wasn't about to be anyone's doormat. He called me cold and said I didn't understand what it was like to come from a broken home. I reminded him that he married someone from a healthy home, where people ask before barging in and where boundaries are actually honored. Just because his mom emotionally manipulated him for years doesn't mean I'll let her turn our house into her second chance at playing queen. Now Tim is sulking. Laura's making martyr comments about not being wanted. Emma posted a passive-aggressive TikTok about people who do not support your dreams. And I feel like the villain in my own house. I love my husband, but I feel like I'm being punished for having a spine. Update. Am I the asshole for blowing up at my husband after his entire family moved into our house without asking me? Huge thanks to everyone who commented, especially the ones who raised questions about how sketchy this whole gas leak situation sounded. Your input gave me the clarity and the righteous pettiness I needed. So, I did a little digging. And when I say digging, I mean full-blown detective mode. I told Tim I was visiting my niece, which I do often, so it didn't raise suspicion. But instead, I made 3 stops. Stop 1, the gas company. I called to ask about any recent emergency at Laura's address. They had zero record of a gas leak. No service call, no appointment, no report, nothing. They didn't even recognize the name. Stop 2, the landlord. Their house is a rental. I called the landlord and asked if he'd been informed about any gas issues. He was totally confused. Said no one ever contacted him and that if there had been a leak, it would have been handled immediately. He'd even done a routine inspection just a week before they evacuated and found nothing wrong. Stop 3, the house itself. Yep, I drove over there. No warning signs, no repair trucks, no carbon monoxide notices. I even Googled what kind of signs you'd see after a real carbon monoxide emergency. None of those were present. I chatted with some neighbors who were out front, and they said they hadn't seen any repair crews or heard anything about a gas leak either. I was beyond furious. And I knew Chris, the wet paper towel of the group, was my best shot at the truth. So while everyone else was at the beach, yet again, I got Chris alone and said calmly, "You're not in trouble, but I need the truth, because I talked to the gas company and the landlord." This man folded instantly. Turns out the whole gas leak story was a fabrication cooked up by Laura and Emma. They knew if they claimed an emergency, Tim would panic and feel obligated to step in. The real reason they wanted to stay with us? Our house is 10 minutes from the beach. They did not want to pay for a hotel or Airbnb, and they knew Tim would roll out the red carpet because he's always trying to be the family hero. When I told Tim everything, calmly, with receipts, I saw the exact moment it all clicked. His face changed as he realized his own mother and sister manipulated him into hosting them for a free beach vacation. He was crushed, then furious, then disgusted. Without hesitation, he told them to pack up and leave. Immediately. Laura tried to guilt trip him with tears. Emma screamed. Jack just asked for a ride. Chris apologized at least 3 times before walking out. Now it's just me and Tim in the house again. And for the first time in weeks, silence. To his credit, Tim finally saw the situation for what it really was. We had a long, raw conversation about boundaries, emotional manipulation, and the fixer role he's always assumed. He admitted this experience shattered a piece of his trust and opened his eyes. We're now looking into couples therapy. Not because I'm leaving him, but because this broke something in our relationship and we want to rebuild it the right way. For the first time, I feel like Tim is standing beside me, not just beside his family. Too long did not read. The gas leak, a lie. The in-laws, manipulators. Tim finally grew a spine, and now they're gone. Thanks again, Reddit. I owe you one. Commentary from a reader's perspective. Honestly, this story left me stunned. Because what starts as a husband making a bad call quickly unravels into something way deeper. From where I stand, the writer is absolutely not the asshole here. If anything, she showed incredible patience before finally speaking up. Imagine being amped by 4 adults moving into your home without warning, and then realizing it was all based on a fake emergency just so they could mooch off your space and enjoy a beach vacation. That level of manipulation is next level disgusting. What makes this story even more powerful is the emotional shift. It's not just about boundaries, it's about trust and how far family guilt can stretch a person like Tim. I'm just glad he finally woke up. And now that this circus has exited the stage, let's move into the next slice of Reddit madness. Because wow, this one set the bar high. Am I the asshole for overreacting when my boyfriend peed the bed and refused to clean it? My boyfriend, 27 male, and I, 23 female, just moved into a new house and bought a new mattress. Last night, I woke up to a wet feeling under my arm and hand. My boyfriend was already up in the bathroom. When he came back, I asked him if he spilled something on the bed or knew why it was wet. He told me he thinks he peed the bed. I asked again, "Wait, are you serious?" And he said, "I think I peed in my dream and peed in real life." We were both half awake at this point, and I was just surprised that he actually wet the bed. I asked him to go grab stuff to clean it up, and he told me that it was fine. I asked him what he meant by that, and he grabbed a towel, laid it over the wet spot, and got back into bed like nothing happened. I pulled the covers off him and told him he needed to go clean it up properly because I did not want the mattress to get stained. It is brand new, and we have not even gotten a mattress protector yet. He told me again that I was overreacting. That comment naturally pissed me off. I told him I was not going to sleep in a puddle of urine, and that was not fair to me. He said he would clean it in the morning and that it was not a big deal and did not warrant the reaction I had. That was not a solution I could live with. So I pulled all the sheets off the bed, threw them at him, and told him to sleep on the couch. I was just so irritated hearing him tell me I was overreacting for asking him to clean up his own mess in the bed we both sleep in. 10 minutes later, he knocked on the door asking for a new blanket because the one I gave him smelled like pee. So, am I the asshole for overreacting to my boyfriend refusing to clean up after he peed the bed? Update. Boyfriend peed the bed and was mad at me for my reaction. Thank you all for the quick responses. This was actually my first Reddit post, and I do not use the app very much. But after he left for work today, I could not get the situation out of my head. I wanted to see what other people thought. First, I wish this was fake, but unfortunately, it was real. I really did wake up yesterday covered in urine and went to bed angry after an argument with my boyfriend. For more context, we have only lived together in short stints before, but this is the first time we have our own house, just the two of us. No, he does not have a drug or alcohol problem. He is not diabetic. He does not take medication, and he was not drinking that night. He had just worked an overnight shift and was extremely tired. He has never done this before in all our time together, so I genuinely did not believe it at first. Also, for those who mentioned it, we are on a tight budget. So yes, the mattress is from Walmart and cost $300. And for those mocking that detail, we are doing the best we can. Eventually, after I threw the sheets and blankets at him, we both ended up cleaning the bed. I stayed in the bedroom because our couch is tiny, and I did not feel like I had done anything wrong. I was tired and not really thinking about logistics at that point. And for anyone jumping to conclusions, no, he is not abusive, does not have a fetish, and I did not kick him out of the house. He was just half asleep and completely not responsive in the way he should have been after something like that. Anyway, he got back from work today with flowers and my favorite ice cream. He told me he had been thinking about the situation all day and admitted he was sorry. He apologized for dismissing me and acknowledged that his reaction was disrespectful. I explained that my only real issue was being told I was overreacting when all I wanted was for him to clean the bed immediately. That is not fair to me. Expecting me to sleep in that mess like it was normal? Absolutely not. Let me be clear. I completely understand that accidents happen, but to act like it was not urgent or important to clean up right away was insane. I appreciated the gesture, and yes, I read what many of you said. He does not have trauma. He is not an alcoholic. It was just a one-time accident. I was never mad that he peed the bed. I was mad that he treated it like my expectations were the problem. He ended up ordering a waterproof mattress cover that will arrive tomorrow. Until that is on the bed, I told him I do not want him sleeping in it. Honestly, I think making him sleep with the soaked sheets and blanket did help him realize how serious this was. I am still a little hurt about how selfishly he handled it in the moment, but he seems remorseful now, so we will see how things go. That is all for now. Thanks for all the advice. Man, this one made me cringe just imagining waking up in that situation. Honestly, the writer handled it way more reasonably than I probably would have. This was not about the accident itself. Anyone can have one. But the moment he refused to take accountability and downplayed it, that shifted everything. Dismissing her concerns in the middle of his own mess? Come on. The fact that he circled back with a real apology, brought flowers, and actually acknowledged what went wrong gives me hope. But this story was a reminder that accidents happen does not mean consequences disappear. Anyway, let's move on to the next wild Reddit situation, because something tells me this was just the tip of the iceberg. Am I the asshole for telling my daughter her much older boyfriend is not welcome in our home? I, 48F, and my husband, 46M, have a 20-year-old daughter, Ellie, who is currently on vacation from college. About 5 months ago, Ellie told us she had a new boyfriend. Let's call him Tom. This was surprising, since she had not mentioned dating anyone before. Still, my husband and I were supportive and happy for her. That said, Ellie was uncharacteristically secretive. Normally, she is an open book, especially with me, and would share details of her life freely. This time, she did not show us any photos and told us almost nothing about Tom, just that they met at a party through a mutual friend. Ellie spent most of this month away in her college town. The plan was for her to return home this weekend. She asked if she could bring Tom along for a few days of the visit, saying things were getting serious and she wanted us to meet him. We mentioned that we still knew almost nothing about him, but Ellie said it would be a surprise and that we would love him. Since he clearly meant a lot to her, we agreed and looked forward to the weekend. Yesterday morning, we picked Ellie and Tom up from the airport. Right away, we were stunned. It was immediately obvious that Tom was significantly older than Ellie. He was clearly no college student. I was shocked but did not want to make a scene, so I asked my husband to stay calm as well. The drive home was tense, which Ellie noticed and pointed out. Once home, my husband directly asked Tom his age. Tom said he was 44. I felt instantly disgusted. He is only 2 years younger than my husband and old enough to be Ellie's father. My husband then started asking more questions about how they met. Ellie repeated that it was at a party and that Tom is well known around town. Apparently, they realized they had a lot in common and hit it off. I honestly could not take hearing anymore. My husband told Tom to leave. Ellie shouted that it was unfair and we had not even given Tom a chance, and that he made her happy. Sensing the tension, Tom left and Ellie followed. I texted her later and told her we would love to see her and talk, but she asked if Tom was welcome. I said no. She called me a judgmental asshole and told me she would not be coming, that they were staying in a hotel and meeting friends instead. I feel awful. I do not want to lose my daughter over this. My husband refuses to back down and says he would have to be restrained if he ever saw that man again. Am I the asshole for telling her he is not welcome in our home? Update. Am I the asshole for telling my daughter her much older boyfriend is not welcome in our home? Thank you to everyone for your comments. I was overwhelmed by the response and appreciate all the honesty. I did not reply to individual comments because I was dealing with a lot emotionally, but I wanted to give an update for those who were interested. For those unfamiliar, my 20-year-old daughter, Ellie, brought home her boyfriend of 5 months, Tom. He turned out to be 44 years old, and my husband and I told him he was not welcome in our home. Ellie and Tom are currently staying at a hotel nearby. On Sunday, I was feeling very low, so I talked to my husband and said I wanted to see Ellie. I knew this would mean seeing Tom, so I suggested we meet them at a neutral location for brunch. My husband refused to come, saying he was not in the right frame of mind. So I went alone. I was anxious on the drive, but seeing Ellie calmed me. I still felt uncomfortable around Tom, but I used the opportunity to learn more about him. I asked what he meant when he said he was well known in a college town. He told me he had gone to college there at Ellie's age and never left. He still hangs out at the college bars and social spots, which was unsettling to hear, but I remained polite. He has never been married, has no kids, works as a software engineer, and enjoys cooking and meditation. Despite all this, something about him still felt off, though I admit I may have had preconceived notions. Ellie talked about how much they had in common. She said they both love the same places around town and share a love of sushi. She has never met someone so mature and understanding. Tom said Ellie was perfect for him and he was serious about her. I asked if he had a history of dating younger women. Ellie hated the question, but Tom said he usually did not do relationships, but something about Ellie was different. After 2 hours, we wrapped up brunch. Ellie said she was happy I had shown an interest and asked if she and Tom could come to dinner soon. I said that sounded okay, but I needed to speak to her father first. Tom shook my hand, and that was it. My husband is still resistant, but I feel this is the only way to keep a relationship with Ellie. I still do not like Tom. He gives me a strange feeling, and his answers did not help. I am trying to stay open-minded. I appreciate your thoughts. Second update. Am I the asshole for telling my daughter her much older boyfriend is not welcome in our home? Apologies for not updating sooner. I have read all your messages and comments, but it was a lot to process. Many asked for a follow-up, so here it is. To recap, Ellie, my 20-year-old daughter, brought home her 44-year-old boyfriend, Tom. My husband and I were stunned. I met with them alone for brunch and was uncomfortable, but I wanted to keep a relationship with Ellie. After brunch, I asked my husband about the idea of inviting them both to dinner. He was completely opposed, but I told him this was our only shot at keeping Ellie in our lives. He reluctantly agreed. We also spoke to Ellie's older sister, Holly, 23, who had no idea about Tom until then. She did some digging online but found little. She insisted on coming to dinner as well. I hesitated, fearing it would spiral, but eventually said yes. The dinner came, and Holly grilled Tom the entire night. She asked if he had a thing for younger girls, why he still goes to college parties, and made other cutting remarks. Ellie told her repeatedly to stop. I tried to mediate. My husband just sat there, silently fuming. Then came the bombshell. Ellie and Tom announced they were moving in together for the new college year. I was stunned. Ellie had told me she was going to live with her friends. Tom explained that he believed Ellie was the one, that he was not going to get another shot at a long-term relationship, and he did not want to waste time. He wanted her to be his wife and the mother of his children. That is when my husband lost it. He told Tom to get out of the house. Tom stood, visibly shocked. Ellie burst into tears. Holly said it was deserved and called Tom a peep. Ellie stormed out with Tom crying. My husband went upstairs and I was left in tears. I have texted Ellie since, but she has not responded. I am terrified she will throw her life away. She has never been in a relationship before, and she is deeply infatuated. My husband says if Ellie marries Tom, he will cut her off entirely. I cannot agree with that. I will always love Ellie, but I am devastated. Any advice would be appreciated. 1 year update. Am I the asshole for telling my daughter her much older boyfriend is not welcome in our home? So much has happened. I had almost forgotten about this post until I logged into this Reddit account today. The support and feedback meant a lot to me, and I wanted to share where we are now. To keep it short, Ellie is engaged and pregnant. The engagement happened in January, about a year into their relationship. She announced the pregnancy in March. She is keeping the baby and is due later this year. I am still heartbroken. Ellie was once vibrant, cheerful, and had a thriving social life. Now she lives with Tom in her college town, but she has dropped out due to the pregnancy. Most of her friends have distanced themselves from her, mostly because of Tom. My husband is now low contact with Ellie and wants nothing to do with Tom. Her sister Holly feels the same and says she will not have anything to do with Ellie or the baby while she stays with what she calls a predator. I stay in touch with Ellie as much as I can. I love her, and I know if things fall apart, she will have no one else. She has isolated herself, and it breaks my heart. There was a brief glimmer of hope in March. Ellie called me, crying, saying Tom had cheated on her with another college student, even younger than Ellie. I tried to talk sense into her, thinking this would be the turning point. But then she found out she was pregnant, and between that and Tom's love bombing, she decided to stay with him. They are planning to marry next summer so they can focus on the baby for now. My husband and other family members refuse to attend. I am trying to stay strong and hope I will love my grandchild, but this situation will never be easy. If there are more major updates, I will share them. Thank you again for your support. It is hard not to feel like this entire story is a slow-motion car crash. Ellie seems trapped in a situation that is, at best, deeply inappropriate and at worst, manipulative and damaging. As I read through this, I do not think the mother was the asshole. Far from it. She tried to keep the peace, protect her daughter, and keep communication open, even as her instincts screamed that something was wrong. The father and sister may have been blunt, but it is hard to blame them. There is something disturbingly predatory about a 44-year-old man embedding himself in a college town and going after a woman barely out of her teens. And the fact that he cheated with another, even younger woman while Ellie was pregnant, that says it all. This was never love. It was control. The saddest part is watching someone bright and full of potential spiral into isolation and dependence. One can only hope Ellie eventually sees through it and finds her way back. But that's the end of this one. for now. Another story is already waiting. AITA for rejecting my dad's efforts to repair our relationship because he chose his wife over me. I, 21 male, lost my mother when I was still a baby, and my dad did not date anyone until I was around 9 years old. Then he met his wife, Lindsay. She was a single mom to 2 kids. Both her kids had different fathers, and those fathers were not around. Her oldest was 11, and her youngest was 6. Her youngest was special needs and medically complex. My dad and Lindsay rushed their relationship because she did not have much free time, and she wanted help, and my dad was willing. A really brief summary. My dad kept me in a bad situation. His wife's youngest took up a lot of money and space with all the extra needs, and her oldest was angry and violent and lashed out and drank and did drugs. I had a curtained off space, not a bedroom with a door, and not a real bed. I went 6 weeks without seeing my dad while I lived there once. He told me she came first when I asked him to leave and that his marriage and happiness would always be first. I left at 17 and did not look back. And now he wants to reconcile, but I said no because I deserve to be happy too. I know it was not her youngest son's fault, but he was a lot of work and I resented it from the start. My dad told me good people help family and they do not pass up love and family just because it will be more difficult or more work. He told me he deserved to be happy and that Lindsay made him happy and that my mom was his first chance and he lost her. So Lindsay was his second chance. He told me I could benefit so much from being a caring brother to Lindsay's son and would learn a lot about real life. Money was extremely tight, and the house had so much medical equipment and mobility stuff for Lindsay's son. I did not even get an actual bedroom. I was shoved behind a curtain where the office had been before dad and I moved in. The timeline was like May, dad and Lindsay meet. September, they introduce all of us to each other. November, we all move in together. February, dad and Lindsay are married. A few months after dad and I moved in, Lindsay's daughter, her oldest, started acting out. She smashed up some of her half-brother's medical equipment, stole money, snuck out late at night, got drunk a few times, started taking drugs, and pushed me around if I was in her way. There were nights I could not sleep until 1 or 2 a.m. because I could hear Lindsay and her daughter fight. The daughter would say she wished her half-brother would die and they could move on. Lindsay would get hysterical about it, and her daughter would say he was not her real brother anyway and was just a burden. I begged my dad to leave and let it be just the two of us again, but he said we could not walk out. We committed. We were more than just the two of us now. I told him I did not want any of them, and I hated how much life had changed. He told me life always changes, and I needed to get on top of my feelings and accept that he needed to be happy and deserved to save his marriage. He told me his marriage was the most important thing and that it had to be to provide me with stability. Even when Lindsay's daughter kicked me out of my room and bed, literally dragging me by the hair or legs to get me out, dad stayed. When I was 13, I went 6 weeks without seeing my dad because Lindsay's son was in the hospital and she stayed the whole time. That meant if dad was not at work, he was with her. All I got was a note telling me to go to friends' houses if there was no food. Those 6 weeks were hell because every time I saw Lindsay's daughter, she cursed at me and shoved me around and made it so I really did not feel okay outside of my curtain. Nothing got better. After I turned 15, Lindsay started asking me to help more with chores and errands. She expected me to be her little helper. When I said no, dad told me I did not get to disrespect my new mom. That led to a fight where I exploded and told him to fuck off because she would never be my mom. Nothing good came from them being married, and he needed to leave me alone. Um, a few more fights happened around what I said because Lindsay heard and was upset and said she loved me and her son loved me too and would hate to know I saw him as nothing but a burden. I was 17 when I just left one day. I did not have a plan or a bunch of savings, but I decided I could not take it anymore. I left dad a note, just like he left me when I was 13. He filed a missing persons report, and I had to tell the cops I was safe, but refused to go back. I avoided getting sent back until my 18th birthday. Then I was just free. I did not stay in touch and started a new life. I even tracked down mom's family, and now I live with my maternal grandparents, who had searched for me for ages. But dad moved and never let anyone know where we were going. He got in touch a couple of months ago. I ignored him. I kept ignoring him and his request to reconcile. Then I replied a week ago to him saying how much he hated that we ended up here, and he was not even sure if I had blocked him. I actually had planned to, but never expected him to reach out. But he loved me and missed me, and more than anything, he wanted us to work on things. I just told him that he chose his wife over me, and he made a big chunk of my childhood hell as a result, and I wanted nothing more to do with him because I deserved to put my happiness first. He replied since saying I should never have expected him to give up his wife for me and that we can work on this, that I need my dad and all kinds of crap. He actually seems kind of desperate and erratic about it, and like he's really afraid I will not give him a chance, AITA, for rejecting his efforts. Honestly, reading this feels like watching someone crawl out of emotional rubble and being asked to go back inside for closure. No, you are not the asshole for rejecting him. This man abandoned you emotionally and physically, then built a life that pushed you aside like you were a leftover from his past. It was not just about a rough patch or some missteps. He chose that chaos repeatedly. The moment he let someone drag you by your hair and still stayed, he made his decision. I do not blame you for not wanting to reopen a door that led to years of pain. Some bridges do not need to be rebuilt. They were never safe to walk on to begin with. Anyway, let's move on to the next AITA post, because whoo, this one left me needing a breather. AITA for having no sympathy for my 37F husband, 33M, after he begged me for years to sleep with another man, and now he's upset by it. Throwaway, because I love posting my life on Reddit and do not want this mess attached to it. I have been with my husband for 12 years, and pretty much from the start, he told me he had a fantasy of watching me sleep with another man. He is not the first man to ask me this. You would be surprised how many men do. The thing is, though, my husband can be a little bit insecure to the point where I told him a year after we got together that I was thinking of leaving him because I could not deal with his constant questions. Who someone was, how I knew them. Every time they commented or liked something on my socials, or every time I mentioned someone at work, he would start making passive aggressive comments. He eventually got better and said he realized how much of a contradiction he was being. Mostly, his insecurities calmed down with the odd flare up. About 3 years ago, he really ramped up asking me to sleep with another man. He would mention it at least once a week and tell me which of his friends found me attractive, and he would talk dirty during sex about me and other men. About a year ago, I caved a little and said, as a test, I would start posting revealing pictures on socials and see how he handled it. So I started posting gym selfies and outfit pictures of me wearing very revealing clothing. Then, when we went to Ibiza, I sunbathed topless and even posted a photo on my socials where it was obvious I was topless and captioned it, "Men do not like tan lines, do they?" He passed all these tests and never once reacted negatively. While in Ibiza, we went clubbing and he watched me dance with other men and seemed like he really enjoyed it. Around 6 months ago, I said okay, but made him sign a piece of paper, obviously not legally binding, just trying to get it into his head, that this could not be classed as cheating. It was a sex game to fulfill his fantasy. He said all types of sex were okay, nothing was off limits, and that he would choose the man, so I could not be accused of any sort of cheating. He said he was fine with all of it. He is a big man, 6'4" or 4, and goes to the gym nearly every day. He chose a little skinny guy, 5'5", and not a bit of muscle on him. Anyway, tale as old as time, he wanted it, got it, and now he is upset. He says, I enjoyed myself too much. It was obvious I preferred the sex with the other guy, that I was louder and gave him oral longer, etc. There have been numerous complaints. I have shut him down every time and said I told him this is how it was going to go, and he did not listen to me. I showed him numerous posts on Reddit of this exact thing happening. Men begging, their wives giving in, the men not being able to handle it and blaming the wife. I said that is not me. I am not taking any blame. I did exactly what I was told to do, sleep with another man, put on a show, and act like a porn star. I did that. I held up my end. He is not holding up his end of either enjoying it or accepting that he asked for this. He says I am being an asshole by showing no understanding or, in his words, taking accountability for my actions. He said if I knew this was going to happen, I should not have done it and should have kept saying no. It is like an adult who would purposely put his hand in a lion's cage and then cries because it was bitten off. Am I the asshole? Should I be more understanding? Update. A lot of the comments on my original post, if I'm honest, opened my eyes to the fact that he was setting me up to be the bad guy and not enjoy myself so he could look and feel better. Unfortunately for him, that plan backfired because I did enjoy myself very much. I was leaning very heavily towards leaving him, but last night he asked me if he could pick someone else for me to sleep with and we could try doing it again. I lost it. Told him to get out of my house and never come back. I have never been so angry with someone. He is messing with my head, and that was the final straw. He is at his parents' place at the moment. I look forward to him telling everyone I cheated. There is no way around it. The husband built this entire fantasy, laid every single brick of it himself, begged for years, got exactly what he asked for, and then imploded when reality did not match the control he imagined he would have. You do not get to orchestrate a fantasy, sign off on every rule, push for it constantly, and then turn into the victim when it plays out exactly as designed. That is not how adulthood works. It feels less like he wanted to see his wife with another man and more like he wanted to watch her, but only under the illusion that she would remain emotionally and physically indifferent. But she is human, not a character in his mental movie. As far as I'm concerned, she is not the asshole. She followed every request, every agreement, and was even mindful enough to test the waters before diving in. If anything, she gave him more patience and foresight than he ever gave her. And now that this chapter has slammed shut, I can only imagine what the next Reddit tale holds.